What's up, YouTube? It's my second video here. It's HyreCar Guy. I'm here to tell you the difference between Turo and HyreCar. I run on both. I actually have 2 cars in HyreCar and 1 car in Turo. I'm going to tell you which one I like more, which one I've had better experiences, tell you some crazy stories, and I'll get you started on what's the basics for each one. So let's get into it. So when you got Turo and HyreCar, first thing you got to compare the cars. Basically, you need to have nice, clean cars. Gotta have no salvage titles, clean. On Turo, you could probably rent a 2-door car. You're not gonna probably be able to rent a 2-door car on HyreCar because most of the guys are gonna be renting it for, Lyft and Uber and DoorDash and all that stuff. That also comes into like what kind of cars people want to rent. So in Turo, you have a mileage limit, so it's got to be 120,000 miles or less enabled for it to rent on Turo. On HyreCar, there's no mileage limit, but then the cars have to be kept up to date because they're going to be driven a lot. So in my experience on Turo, I rent an SUV. I have a Mitsubishi Outlander. It rents pretty good. It's constantly rented. Usually it's mostly rented to tourists or people visiting the area or planning on moving to the area. So it works out really good because they'll rent it usually from a week to 2 weeks, and which is great for me because the longer they rent, that means it's more, passive income coming in for me, and less trips I have to make to the airport. Because that's another thing about Turo, you're gonna have to go pick up and drop off and do all that at the airport, which you don't have to do with HyreCar. HyreCar, on the other hand, I don't think people are really gonna be looking for SUVs and minivans in HyreCar. I think the highest demand vehicle on HyreCar will probably be a Prius. After that would be like, the Camrys, Accords, maybe something with luxury. I have a TSX and I have a Nissan Maxima on there. Both rent out pretty good. Not as much as I get on Turo, of course, because the Turo vehicle is much newer. But I'm also putting a lot of miles on my vehicles in HyreCar. On rough estimate, I would say it's at least minimum, it would be 1,000 miles a week is what a HyreCar renter is going to put on your car. So if you rent it out for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you're probably going to come back with a car that has 6,000 to 8,000 miles on it. So, which is a lot, because when I started renting my car, it was in the hundreds, thousands of miles. Now it's over 200, close to 250. And it's predominantly because of HyreCar, because the mileage, it's just, some people rent for a month and put 12,000 miles in your car. So my limit is 600 miles a day, so they can technically put up to 18,000 miles on it. And that's just what people are looking for in HyreCar. And also they want high gas mileage. So my vehicles are like 25 to 30. But if you had like a Prius that was getting like 45 to 50 miles per gallon, that would probably be your best bet because that's what Lyft and Uber drivers want. So again, back to the Turo part. The only thing I sometimes run into with the Turo is I have to do a lot more paperwork on my end. Not paperwork, but run-ups. I have to make sure the flights are on time. I have to schedule my work schedule around people's. They don't work around your schedule. So it's whenever their flight arrives at the airport. So if their flight's at 3:30, then I got to figure something out for work. So I can leave at 3 and be at the airport at 3:30. Then I got to get a ride back from the airport. So either I can Uber or Lyft, but that's going to cost me $30 or $40 at peak hours, or I have to have somebody come and pick me up and have to arrange all of that. Same thing with when I go to pick up the vehicle. I need a ride to the airport then. So if they're leaving at 6 in the morning and they want to show up at the airport at 4 a.m., well, guess what? Now I'm going to the airport at 4 a.m. and I'm meeting somebody there, and then I need to get a ride there. So most likely in that situation, I'll have to Uber or Lyft. There is a fee that you can charge for drop-off. I charge $30 for our local airport. I don't really go to the farther airports because that would just be too much of a hassle to meet someone an hour away or something. Then, I schedule my day around that. But luckily with Turo, people don't usually rent for like short periods of time. In my cases, at least, they've been for like a week or two, so I can schedule that once a week, or once or twice a week. I can figure something out with my schedule and get a ride from a friend or a family relative. HyreCar, usually on the other hand, you have to meet up with the people. It's more on your schedule, so I'm more flexible with them. I usually tell them, I'm working till 3 o'clock, I can meet you after I get off, or I'm working till 6, I can meet you tonight. Can you give me a ride back? Things like that. We're kind of more friendly because you're trying to help people out, you're trying to help them make money, and they're trying to help you make money. So I'm more generally friendly with them. I also give them amenities to put in their car, like I have a rear seat cover that has, cup holders and holders for, Tylenol, also for mints and drinks and things. So that way, they get more tips. I put car chargers in their car, so that way they can have a universal car charger. They can charge people's phone, they can charge their phone. I put dash mount, so that way they can mount their phone while they're driving. Anything to help them so they have a better experience, and that way they want to rent longer. The thing is, the hire cars, I've had a lot of people that are just like trying to try it out. It's their first time, so they only rent for 2 or 3 days. Some of them live really far away. They'll want to rent from an hour away or something, and I don't recommend those because it turns into a headache of logistics of getting the car back, and it's just not fun. If you have to drive an hour, or somebody says, hey, I'll come pick you up, then I need a ride back, and you drive them an hour. Those type of things, when it comes to Uber and stuff, it's just, you can't really get a ride back. It's going to cost you $50, $60, and the people that are on hyrecar are really struggling. Most of them are Uber and Lyft drivers. They don't have a lot of money saved up. Most of the time they want to rent for a day at a time, and they're extending, 1 day, 2 day, 3 day here. They'll get behind. Sometimes they'll start the rental out and they'll rent it for a whole week, which is nice because you get a week up front, but then it's just like a day at a time. A lot of constant reminding them to get up. I get a lot of excuses from, my bank account's messed up, I'm sick, all these things. But either way, they still have to pay me. They still have to pay hyrecar. With Turo, not as many headaches. Most of the time it's tourists, they're visiting here. I don't bother them, they don't bother me. It works out really good. When it's time to go pick up the car, I know where to meet them, and I get my car back. I do my inspection, tell them have a nice day. Just really friendly with them, help them with their luggage, things of that nature. And again, they don't really put a lot of miles on it. I've had some rentals for a week and they put 150 miles on the car, which is great, and sometimes they'll put 200 or 300. Most of the time they're visiting, they stay at a hotel, if they're going to the beach or something, they're not going to put a lot of miles on. They're just going to go eat and come back, which is great. Some people, they're really good with the cars too. Most of the people are nice. They wash the cars, bring them back clean. Hyrecar, not so much. You're going to get cars that are pretty dirty because they're used for Uber and Lyft. So they come back filthy. The interiors are usually dirty. They have to be clean. There's a lot of my cars, the interior, especially in my Acura, has really gotten trashed. The seats, I know people have pets and dogs and cats or whatever they bring into the car, and they're not the best for the car because if you have leather seats or anything, they really start scratching at it, chewing it up. So I've had to replace the seats in my Acura. I've had to put, I bought a pack of leather stickers from Amazon, and pretty much almost every time I get the car back, there's a tear in it, and I have to put one of these stickers over it to cover it. Or I have to, the 3M repair kit, and it just takes a lot of time. So there's a lot of time cleaning and detailing the vehicle that goes into the hyrecar side, which I don't have to do as much on Turo. Even though every rental I do get the car back from Turo, I make sure I wash it, I clean it, get it up to par. So what about your reimbursement? So hyrecar takes about 15%, so whatever you list it for. So if you're listing it for $40, on average, I'm going to say $40. You're probably going to get around $34, $33 back. If you're listing for $30, you'll get around $25 to $26 back a day. And then also whatever, extras you want to charge if you want a delivery fee, but then you're less likely to rent if you have delivery fees and things of that nature. On Turo, you can of course get more money, but it's up to you how much you want to insure it. So they have prices that go from 65, I think, all the way up to 100% of your money back. But the 100% is, that person's insurance, and you're pretty much taking full liability. So you might be out of a car. It's not really giving you much coverage. So then they have an 85%, which means they deduct 15%. That's what I do because I still have my personal insurance, and I still recommend my renters get insurance as well. And I believe that covers up to $25,000 if something were happening to your car. So that's where I go. If you want to do really safe, then you can do up to 35% deducted and you'd be fully covered. But then you got to imagine, if you're renting a car for $50, you're only going to get around $32 or $33 from that car, and it has to be a pretty good car to rent for $50 or above.